The stranger who called my name. The first time I heard it, I thought I was imagining things. I was crossing the street on 8th Avenue, the late autumn wind cutting through my coat, when a voice rose above the noise of traffic, raw and certain. Daniel. I froze mid-step. No one called me Daniel anymore, at least not here. At work, I was Dan. Back home in Queens, I was Danny. My mother, before she died, was the last person who used my full name with the kind of weight that made me feel like more than just another man drifting through the city. But the voice, it didn't belong to anyone I knew. I turned, heart pounding. The sidewalks were crowded, people wrapped in scarves, heads down, rushing against the cold. A bus exhaled smoke and lurched forward. But no one was looking at me. No one lingered. Still, I felt it. The weight of being seen. That night I couldn't sleep. The voice kept echoing, sharp and certain, cutting through the years I'd buried. I tried to convince myself it was nothing, someone yelling at a friend, maybe. Coincidence. But deep down, I knew better. The next morning, I got to the coffee shop earlier than usual. The barista, a Dominican kid named Luis, grinned at me. "Rough night, Mr. Dan." "Yeah. Something like that." I sat by the window, watching the street, as if waiting for something to happen again. And it did. I'd just taken a sip when the voice came again, clear as day, from across the street. "Daniel." I jolted, coffee spilling across the table. Luis rushed over with napkins, but I wasn't listening. My eyes locked on the figure standing in the shadow of a lamp post. Tall. Thin. A gray coat too big for him. His hair matted, his beard unkempt. A homeless man, by the look of him. But his eyes, dark, burning, were locked on me. And then he smiled. I dropped everything and ran outside, heart hammering. Cars honked as I darted across the street. But when I reached the lamp post, he was gone. For days, I saw him everywhere. A blur of gray at the corner of my vision. A figure slipping into the subway just as the doors closed. Once, I swore I saw him standing outside my apartment building, head tilted back, staring up at my window. But whenever I chased him, he vanished. I started drinking more, working less. My boss at the insurance firm called me in. "Dan, you've been distracted. Is something going on?" I wanted to say yes, that a stranger had ripped open something inside me I couldn't control. But how could I explain it without sounding insane? "No," I said. "I'm fine." But I wasn't. One night, after too much whiskey, I stumbled into the subway near Times Square. The station reeked of piss and iron. My train was late. I leaned against the tiled wall, eyes half shut. Then, "Daniel." The voice. Right behind me. I spun around, and there he was. The gray coat. The burning eyes. The stranger. This time, he didn't vanish. He stepped closer. His face was hollowed by hunger, but his smile was alive. "You finally hear me," he said. "Who the hell are you?" I snapped, my voice shaking. His eyes searched mine, as if pulling memories I didn't want to face. "You don't remember? Do you?" "Remember what?" The train screeched into the station, brakes screaming. People flooded forward, pushing past us. For a moment, I thought I'd lose him again. But he stayed. He didn't move. "Daniel," he said, almost tender now. I knew you when we were kids. Chicago. 1993. The words hit me like a blow. Chicago. 1993. The neighborhood ID buried, the streets ID promised never to remember. The place where my brother died. I was 12 then. My family had just moved from Mexico to Chicago. My father worked 2 jobs, my mother cleaned houses. My older brother, Miguel, took care of me. He was 16, reckless but protective. He'd walk me home after school, telling me stories about how we'd grow up and leave the city behind. But one night, everything ended. A corner fight. Wrong place, wrong time. A knife. Miguel bled out in the street while I watched, frozen, too young to understand but old enough to never forget. We left Chicago soon after. My father never recovered. My mother prayed until her voice broke. And me, I buried Daniel, the boy who had a brother. I became Dan, the man who never looked back. And now this stranger stood before me, pulling my name out of the grave. I was there, he said softly. That night. I tried to stop it. I staggered back, breath ragged. That's impossible. I don't know you. He looked at me with a sadness so deep it made my chest ache. Maybe not. But I know you. And I've been carrying your brother's name ever since. Before I could answer, the crowd surged, pulling us apart. The train doors shut. Through the glass, I saw his lips form words I couldn't hear. And then he was gone. I didn't see him again for weeks. But something in me had cracked open. Memories of Miguel flooded back, the way he laughed, the way he always called me little man. I found myself wandering the city at night, chasing shadows, hoping the stranger would return. And one night, he did. I found him under a bridge near the East River, shivering in the cold. His gray coat barely clung to his frame. You followed me, he said, as if he'd been expecting me all along. I need answers, I said, breath steaming. Who are you? He smiled faintly. A nobody. A man who lost everything. But I remember you, Daniel. I remember your brother. He died saving you. You never let yourself believe it, but he did. Tears burned my eyes. How do you know that? Because I was there, he whispered. And I've been carrying his voice all my life. He told me, take care of my brother. I couldn't. I failed. But when I saw you again, I had to call your name. To remind you you're still alive. For a long moment, all I could hear was the wind rushing under the bridge. Then I sat beside him. For the first time in decades, I said my brother's name out loud. Miguel. The stranger closed his eyes, as if in prayer. We sat there until dawn, 2 broken men bound by a memory neither of us could escape. The stranger never asked me for money. Never asked me for help. But the next morning, I brought him food, a blanket. He accepted it quietly, eyes distant. A week later, he was gone. No one knew his name. The shelters hadn't seen him. The streets swallowed him whole. But I still hear him sometimes, in the corners of the city, calling me back to myself. And when I do, I stop. I listen. Because sometimes, it takes a stranger to remind you who you are. Because sometimes, the dead still speak. Through the living. Through the broken. Through the stranger who called your name.